Hello, welcome to Escaping the Echo Chamber. This is my first live stream, and it's about there's so much going on this week. There's so much going on in the world, and it's not good. Just today, there's been another shooting, 8 dead. Former FedEx employee goes back to the job and kills 8 people. Yeah, and I get it. People are scared. Like at this point, you've got to be worried about, hey, anybody you've not even anybody you've had issues with. You just have to worry about where you could be. You could be in the supermarket. You could be at your job. You could be anywhere, and you're worried like is somebody just gonna go crazy and start shooting people, killing people, hurting people. And so yeah, it's really scary. But I'm thinking in terms of one, what's causing this? Because the politicians' knee-jerk reaction, of course, is and okay, and certain politicians, their knee-jerk reaction is okay, we need gun control. And if people are scared, then that might seem like a good idea in the moment. In that instant, it may seem like, okay, yeah, we need to hurry up and just ban guns. But if you're in a state of fear, that's usually not the best time to make decisions, and that's usually not the time when you make your best decisions. Politicians know this, but they know what their main goal is to score points with people, not to solve problems. And that's part of the problem, that a lot of these politicians don't really care about solving problems. They care about scoring points with people. They want to impress people, make people feel safe, and then they get to say, see, look what I did. I've made you feel better. I've made you feel safe. And now you're like, you know what? That politician really makes me feel good. I'm gonna vote for them. I'm gonna send money to them. I'm gonna donate to them. The problems don't get solved, problems persist. But now, because you feel a certain way about them, you feel good about them, you trust them, you'll listen to them when they now point the finger elsewhere as to why the problem's not solved. So if we just look back to the assault weapons ban, I mean, during the assault weapons ban, there were mass shootings, and there were some really bad mass shootings. That didn't stop it. So it's at the point where it's hard. It's hard to stop and to control the fear and say, you know what's really going on here. But looking at these repeated events, I'm like, because I'm seeing events happen with guns and with all kinds of situations, but people aren't making the correlation that these are connected, that it's similar underlying issues at play. So when you realize that people are actually suffering, like mentally, emotionally, and if that's not addressed, things don't get better. If we don't actually start trying to work on helping people, it's gonna stay chaotic. It's gonna get worse, and um, people are gonna still get hurt, and that's not a good thing. Um, Let me see something. But it's. I look at this and I'm like, for instance, this guy. I just found some details about him, and he apparently was questioned by law enforcement. They actually, his parents, his family actually suspected that he would try to commit suicide by cop. They actually saw in him a streak headed down the dangerous path. They knew he was dangerous. They suspected he was dangerous, and they did actually contact the authorities. He bought a shotgun, I think it was like a year ago, and they contacted the authorities. Or authorities said, "Okay, yeah, this guy's got some issues." They seized the gun. Apparently, he got another one, at least another one. I don't know how. I don't know if it was legal, because that's going to be an interesting thing. If he didn't get this new gun legally, how did, like, that now that changes, that alters the conversation, because you can't now say, oh yes, we need to ban guns, and if this kid got his next gun illegally, because now you're going to be like, okay, yeah, that doesn't fit into oh, it's so easy to get a gun, and we need to tighten up gun laws, we need background checks. But what's interesting is this case actually reminds me of, we see, the good thing is that his family did step up and try to intervene. They saw he was in a very bad place and tried to have something done about it. The thing is, you can't know what's going to happen. You can be worried, you can try to be mindful of it, but you can't know, okay, this guy is actually going to commit a crime 2 years out. Yeah, let's lock him up. And even if that was the case, that's not a good thing. Like, pre-crime, locking people up for a crime they didn't commit is just a horrible precedent, because you will have people who haven't done anything and who aren't going to actually do anything wind up getting locked up. But it actually reminds me of another case where a mother stepped up. Her son was dealing with issues, and she contacted the authorities because she wanted him to get some help. And what they did, instead of, saying, okay, yes, let's get him some treatment, let's get him, inside a hospital, they basically got him to confess that he was going to um, commit a mass shooting, and they locked him up for 15 years. And at that point, now his mother is like, I shouldn't have called. She did the right thing, but law enforcement didn't. Instead of doing the right thing and getting him help, they wanted a conviction. They wanted headlines. And so now you've put parents in the position where now they have to choose. Now they have to make a harder choice, instead of just saying, okay, yeah, let's get my son, my daughter, my loved one into a hospital so they can get some mental health treatment. I have to worry about, if I say something, will they actually have a worse fate? Will they get sent to prison? So, like, a system, a scenario of just treating people of instituting a program of pre-crime, of, oh, if they're gonna do this, let's lock them up. Like, no, let's actually deal with the mental health issue. Let's actually get people the treatment they need. But at the same point, then it comes to, what's the treatment they need? Because in my personal opinion, I believe there is an over reliance on medication. I am not a medical professional. This is my personal observation. I believe that there needs to be a greater focus on actually dealing with, the emotional trauma, the underlying events that break people, that have people at a situation where they want to kill themselves, where they want to hurt others. Like, if you can actually, because pills, yeah, they make pharmaceutical companies lots of money, but they don't actually, in my opinion, solve the problem. In fact, even what they will say is they're treating symptoms. Even by the medical professionals will tell you that these medications, the psychotropic medications that they provide, treat symptoms. They mask symptoms. They do not cure mental illness. But that's why I'm like, okay, well, we should be trying to cure. We should be trying to find the underlying causes of these mental illnesses, of these difficulties, and helping people get past that. Because if you do that, wow, think about how much better the quality of life of these individuals who are suffering from these illnesses and everybody else. I mean, because now, even though the majority of mentally ill people aren't engaged in violence, when a mentally ill person does engage in violence, it's not something that's easily foreseen, and it's shocking, it's jarring, because it's like, wow, like, where'd that come from? And now people are unnerved because of the lack of mourning. But it's things are getting crazy out there, but I think we have to start looking at the actual underlying events, the underlying issues, and dealing with them. Because even beyond severely mentally ill people, so-called normal people aren't aren't dealing with their problems, with their traumas, with their issues in the best ways either. And that I think it's a snowball effect. So if I watch people who are not considered mentally ill just like snap, become, belligerent, violent over issues that they can and should be reasoning through. And the simple fact is, if that's what sane people are doing, then how are we surprised that insane and mentally ill people are also not coping well with stressors? So, I mean, it's you'll have politicians say, hey, well, we have to get rid of these stresses. We have to make sure people have the best quality of life. And I think that's great. We do need, there are things that can be done to help people have better quality of life. But we have to realize that everything is not always going to be gravy. The world is not always going to be sunshine and lollipops, sunshine and rainbows. That we need to, all of us need to be able to cope with negative situations, negative emotions, and learning to cope with these. So, like, there's things that, there's types of therapy like cognitive behavioral therapy, dialectical behavioral therapy that mentally ill people use. But I think these are, especially those types of therapies, are great for all of us because we deal with stressors all the time. And like in the case of dialectical behavioral therapy, of being able to reconcile your emotional mind and your wise and your emotional mind and your reasoning mind, and then bring them together so that you're making wise decisions, that you can recognize your emotions, and then have enough the awareness to say, hey, okay, this is how I feel, this is why I feel this way. What should I do about it? What is the how do I handle this situation? Because I'm seeing a world that's slipping deeper and deeper into chaos. And like, the political situation isn't helping. You've got people who are, and this is what's really scary, you got people who are 1,000% convinced of their own righteousness. And once somebody's convinced of their own righteousness, the question is, how far will they go in dealing with somebody who is the opposite of them? Because if I'm 1,000% convinced of my righteousness and you believe you have the opposite beliefs to me, that means you're evil. So how far will I go to stop you if I believe that? it takes, I mean, I think the number one reason, the number one thing that we all have to do if we want to see a better world, a safer world, is start by looking in the mirror. Point blank, period. Like if you are afraid right now, it's the one thing you can do is say, wait a minute, what can I do to make this world a better place? What can I do to improve my improve the way I relate to other people? Because you may have the ability to reach somebody and change their trajectory. Like you may have the ability to either send them down a really bad path, or to help somebody come back from the brink, to help somebody, a friend, a loved one, maybe just an acquaintance. But if you're operating at a certain level where you're aware, you're being kinder, you're being more introspective, you're being a better version of yourself, you can help have an effect on somebody else who could be in a very dark place, and you can help bring them back. That's just one of the things we can start with doing. I mean, it's something we can do right now. Like, so in before we worry about passing gun control laws, or we need stricter mental health laws, we need to just lock people up if they're showing something, which I think is a horrible idea. Just because people on the right who don't want to deal, who want to shift the attention away from the gun control conversation, have so many have habitually gone to willing to throw away the rights of mentally ill people, or people who are suspected of mental illness, which is a horrible precedent. But there's something we can do. Stop looking to politicians to save the world. Start looking in the mirror. Look in the mirror. How can you make the world a better place right now? What can you do? When's the last time you lashed out at somebody? Should you have? What can you do? Like, the next time you've got that trigger, somebody gets under your skin, how could you handle it better? If you want to make the world a better place, start by looking in the mirror. Thanks for checking out this live stream. And as always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to the channel. And I'll be doing more of these. And, thank you. Thank you for checking out the live stream. I'll see you next time.